Kurgan here, back with another weapon review. Today, we'll be looking at another personal defense weapon. This time, the M5K and the changes it received during the latest balancing patch for Armored Kill. Now, the only change this weapon got during the last patch was that its max damage was changed. Pre-patch, it had 20 maximum damage, and I played with this gun before the patch, and while I enjoyed it, it just felt like it was missing something. It just didn't have enough ammo to really get the job done. So, for the most part, I chose to play with the P90 if I was looking for a personal defense weapon. And there's numerous reasons behind that choice, and I'll just list those off now. The P90 has less vertical recoil by a lot, slightly more horizontal recoil, and the bullets are a good amount faster, which means you have to lead your target less. The clip size, and this is the real big choice, the real big reasoning behind it, was the clip's 50 compared to 20 or 30 if you're running extended mags. And it just allowed the weapon to get the job done a lot easier. And not only that, but the P90 also fires from the hip slightly better and also aims down the sights better, and they both fire 900 rounds a minute. So, considering all of those points, the M5K just really didn't have a sweet spot, no niche. It just didn't specialize in anything. And not only that, but beyond the P90 and the M5K, there's 3 other personal defense weapons that fire 900 rounds a minute or greater. Now, I personally was wondering if it was going to get a larger magazine during the whatever patch. I didn't think it was really going to get patched this soon. But DICE really surprised me with a damage revision. They increased the damage from 20 to 25 maximum damage. And unlike the UMP that just got changed during the last patch as well, they left the maximum damage range out at 12 meters instead of 5. Which, I think that's great news. Mostly because the M5K, that's its sweet spot within that 12 to 15 meter range. It can kill people beyond that range, but you're probably going to have to dump a full clip to do it. And it can do that. I mean, with the 900 rounds a minute it fires, it is capable of killing people at long range quickly. It's just that it just compounds the ammo issues this weapon already has, attempting to do that many times. Now, let's take a look at how the change to the maximum damage affected it. Compared to the MP7, which was the fastest killing personal defense weapon before the patch, it really gave it a leg up. The MP7 has at 1 meter a 255 millisecond time to kill, whereas now the newly revised M5K is at 203 milliseconds. Now it's over 50 milliseconds faster, which is a really large gap. There's only 2 weapons in the game now that have a faster time to kill at 1 meter, and that is the FAMAS with 188 milliseconds and the AEK at 203 milliseconds. Beyond that, there's just nothing else that is even actually close to this weapon. I think that there's a few other weapons that are maybe right around 230 milliseconds. That's kind of a ways back. But anyways, beyond those assault rifles and other weapons, back to a comparison with the MP7, since these weapons are both personal defense weapons and they can be used by any kit. Now, we've already gone over the large gap that's in close quarters between the MP7 and the M5K. But let's look at it a little bit farther out, at the 15 meter range, and see if that's changed any, which is 3 meters beyond the drop-off point for both of these weapons. The M5K drops off from 25 damage, and the MP7 drops off from 20, which it also fires 50 rounds a minute faster. Just remember that. But even then, it's the exact same story. The M5K is only 306 milliseconds to kill, while the MP7 is 354 milliseconds to kill. So it's still just about a 50 ms difference that we see. And that really carries throughout both of these weapons' kill ranges. The M5K is just about 50 milliseconds faster at every single distance. And the bonus is that it also, since it kills with less bullets, it's easier to conserve clips with it since they both have the same clip size. Now, it's great to see that the M5K finally got a buff that is that's usable, that made this weapon stand out. But the problem with that, and which the comparison with the MP7 shows, is that it really just misplaced some of the weapons that a lot of people already liked. And the MP7 probably is the worst case scenario here. And it's mostly because, like I've already said, they share the same clip size. And the MP7 kills slower at all ranges. It does have a bit of a hipfire bonus and an ADS bonus, but it's just not enough to really separate this weapon. It just falls in the shadow of the M5K at any range, and the M5K is just the better choice. Now, the P90 is a slightly different story. It follows the exact same time to kill pattern as the MP7, except for since it fires 50 rounds a minute slower, it's always about 20 ms slower time to kill than the MP7. And you'd be thinking, well, how does that make it fare slightly better? You know, it's a slower killing weapon. Well, the difference is that it has that 50 bullet clip, and the fact that it doesn't need to use extended mags to get there. So you can actually use some other attachments that the MP7 or the M5K just really can't use. You almost have to use extended mags with both of these weapons. And not only that, but the 50 bullet clip means that this weapon is better for mid to really, I mean, you don't want to use these weapons in long range situations, but it is better for that, just because it has the extra ammo to do it. And it also has the same aim characteristics as the MP7, so it's a little bit more solid from the hip or aiming down the sights, which is what helps it stand out a little bit. Now, I love the M5K changes, but I just think that these other two weapons that I mentioned need something done. They need to be helped out. They need something to give them their own specialization. Maybe not so much the P90. I think a little something needs to be done for it. But the MP7, there's no real point in using that weapon anymore. It kills slower, has the same small clip, and it just doesn't have as much of an accuracy bonus. And maybe something like that would help it stand out, just being a more accurate weapon. But I don't know. Anyways, now onto the loadout I use for the M5K. I think that squad ammo is really the way to go. I've gone with some other, like squad grenades sometimes if you're really in a meat grinder and you know you're not going to live long. But if you're expecting to have a long life, you need to take squad ammo, because you will chew through it with this weapon, even with extended mags. It's just not enough bullets. I end up using my pistol a lot, even with squad ammo, so you just really need to have that. As far as sights go, I personally use the red dot or the Cobra. A lot of people use iron sights, and that's great. I mean, they use it to basically free up some screen space, but I can't think of any scenario where I've been killed by somebody who was hiding behind my scope. It's just never surprised me. So there's not really any bonus to aiming down the sight in the M5K while standing still. There's absolutely none, actually. So it's not really going to be useful in that situation, but you do get a small bonus when aiming down the sights while moving, which you should keep in mind. So I think the sight's a good addition to the weapon. I think it rounds it off well, but if you love the iron sights, you know, it does free up that screen space. So go ahead, take that route. Then I choose the laser. I like the hip fire bonus from it personally, so that's why I use that. But the flashlight, if you're going to be in really tight, close quarter scenarios, the flashlight's great, because you aren't going to need that hip fire bonus. Your target's going to be right next to you, so you don't really need any more accuracy. And the flashlight is just blinding, so they are going to be so disoriented from it that it'll be, you know, it's a really good choice. So maybe on some of the Conquest Domination maps, it would be a good choice to maybe go with the flashlight instead. And beyond that, like I've already mentioned, extended mags. I feel this is a must with this weapon. I've tried some of the other things, and they just don't work. This gun kills so fast, but it also depletes its clip just as fast, and you really need that extra ammo. So I think that you just have to go with the extra clips with this weapon. Anyways, This is One Kurgan 1. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, or sub. And if you want to see a different weapon reviewed, leave it in the comments, and I'll see what I can do. Thanks.